As soon as you mention the Ravens, you always think about Lamar Jackson. And all over social media yesterday, he's pouring the slime on Tylan Wallace, who won the Nickelodeon Valuable Player of the Week with his punt return. And as I think about Lamar Jackson, we're getting the best version of him. And you talk about what a win will do and how he's played this year. Enter Todd Monken as his offensive coordinator. And now we see this guy not only running around making plays. There was a play in the game this past week against the Rams where he runs around, scrambles for a first down. The defensive linemen on the sideline are in shock for the Baltimore Ravens. And Urban is over there looking at Michael Pearson. He's just like, he's cold. Did you see that? How the hell did he get that first down on that play? And then we see him late in the fourth quarter making throws to Zay Flowers to get them into overtime and to ultimately win that game. So a win like this for Lamar Jackson, the conversation for him as MVP gets louder. We've talked about Dak Prescott. We've talked about Brock Purdy. If they get closer and they continue to inch closer to this number one seed in the AFC, and they're doing it on the back of Lamar Jackson, not only running the ball like we saw in 2019 when he got an MVP, but throwing the ball from the pocket all over the field, looking composed. And I think on top of that, a big win this week against the Jaguars sets up for them because the Ravens, the way they finished this season, their last 4 games, they're going against all teams that right now are in the playoffs. You see it right there, the Jags, then the 49ers, Dolphins, and Steelers. So it's to the point right now for them, any win and an inch closer to getting that number one seed as we watch the Dolphins let go of that game on Monday night is huge. But I think it means a lot for Lamar Jackson as the MVP odds, and we start talking about these quarterbacks of how it's all going to play out, Rob.
Yeah, for me, this game had much more context 2 weeks ago. You know, the Jags were playing against Cincinnati that night for a chance to really be the number one seed at that point. Instead, they get beat by the Bengals, and then you don't know what's going to happen with Trevor Lawrence after that injury, and they go up and get beat by the Joe Flacco-led Cleveland Browns. Now, Cleveland's a very good team. Their records are very similar, so it didn't surprise me too much they got beat. It's just now they have 2 consecutive losses, and you have the Colts all of a sudden creeping into the mix, the Texans also creeping into the mix for the division. So the Jags need to win this football game. It's very important. But the chances with Baltimore coming to town, this game's not as what you would say all about the playoff situation for the Ravens. They have to go to San Francisco next week. You know, no shame in the fact that you go out to the Bay and you get beat by a team that's probably going to be the NFC champion when it's all said and done. But what is important is 2 weeks from now when Miami comes to town. That's going to be ultimately for the AFC number one spot, and it will decide whether or not you're going to go to South Beach for the playoffs the entirety, or you're going to go, everybody else is going to have to go through Baltimore. It doesn't look like it's going to be the Invitational of Arrowhead once again.
I know.
But I'm not ready to quite call them out of the equation yet, the Kansas City Chiefs.
It might be. They may still pull the thing up. And meanwhile, in this game, I think it's Jacksonville fight and claw and stay alive.
Yeah.
Baltimore, blow the doors off them. Let's send a message right now as we get around towards Christmas. I don't know, at my house, we got a tree up. There's some presents underneath. Like,
already
I want,
presents?
oh yeah, already. Not like the Santa Claus presents, but like, you know, grandma sends them and stuff.
Yeah.
I want the big presents underneath. Now, here's how I look at this. I like a big-ass 1 seed, like a juggernaut. We look like we have one in the NFC. Like, San Francisco looks amazing.
Yeah.
Who is it in the AFC? Is it Baltimore? Like, they look the part. I would love to get this going about maybe someone will knock them off, but let's see 2 big 1 seeds in each conference and start getting excited to open our presents. I think you're on it, Ryan. I think you need to send that message about if you're going to win the AFC, the Arrowhead thing's over. You're coming through Baltimore. Baltimore, let's just like run down some of the things they've done in their home stadium this year. You like this Houston team, right? They've been pretty cool. Well, they lost by 16 at Baltimore. Detroit, they're going to the playoffs. They lost by 32 at Baltimore. Seattle's always tough. They lost by 34 at Baltimore. You don't want to go there. You don't want to go there with their state seal and all that and the Lamar thing, the purple jerseys. It's terrifying. I would like to see a message being sent. I think it's great that they got slime poured all over them because they had to use a punt return to beat the Rams, who traveled all the way across the country. Don't get me wrong. It was great. What about just a walloping this week? Jacksonville, all due respect, I'd like to see Baltimore flex a little bit and be like, start getting excited for us versus the Niners. Not next week. I'm talking about in February.
Yeah.
I will add to this, too. I do think when you looked around the league and you looked at the Miami loss and you looked at the way other teams played, this is the game the Ravens lost earlier in the season that they won on Sunday. They lost to the Colts. You know, they lost to the Steelers, which is a game they had just –
all of them were in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, this was the difference. It took a special teams play, but that's team concept, right? A full team effort. They got it done. that was the biggest thing for me. They found a way to win a game they probably should have lost because the Rams played incredibly well.
The issue with the Ravens early in the season, September, and really halfway through October, was that offensively they ran out of gas in the third, in the fourth quarter. I think there was a stretch there where they were scoring 3 or less points in the fourth quarter. They start out hot and they couldn't finish. Their defense has carried them. There have been games where they have held teams early in the season to 3 and 10 and 16. So if the defense is going to be the thing that sustains you and you're the Baltimore Ravens, that's a beautiful thing, because if your offense is so-so, you have Lamar Jackson at quarterback. You had a new offensive coordinator coming into the season. Everyone was trying that sweatshirt on for size for the first time ever. I'm not surprised that it took this much time. In fact, I'd be more fearful if I was the rest of the AFC, because now things have started to click and it's not going the opposite way. If you were the Baltimore Ravens, I think this is the juggernaut that is going to come into the 1 seed.
I just don't see who else it could be.
I don't.
Who else do we like? Look at the division leaders. Kansas City got all kinds of problems right now.
Yep.
Jacksonville, they're just not. Miami, we wanted it, but like their best player is hurt, and they just lost to the Titans. Like, who else fits the part of the AFC version of the Niners?
Yep.
Yeah, I think in the AFC, to your point, what you always say, it may be a come-running team that isn't the juggernaut, but we're looking at maybe Baltimore as the juggernaut, but it's just like, my goodness, if Buffalo's able to reel off these wins and they're going to the playoffs, you're just like, this team is extremely hot right now. If the Lions would have gotten in last year, I think every NFC team would have been terrified to play them.